Hey everybody, welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're checking out why Europe is insanely well designed. Before we get into this video, I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers. If you could hit that subscribe button, that'd be greatly appreciated. Now let's get into this video.
This is a map of Europe's mass transit railway system across.
They're obsessed with transits, man.
The yellow
Transit
lines
system, trail
indicate the
systems.
presence of a train line, and as you can see, it's very dense. There are hardly any spaces where there isn't any coverage for railways. Now, if we compare this to a map of railroad tracks
Of
in
course
the
they
US,
compare it to America.
It's a different story. While parts of the US have some good mass transit,
So
there
basically
are
all the
large
major
areas
cities.
of the country which isn't covered.
That's
by
stupid to
Amtrak,
put that there because the red
nation's
spots,
largest
barely
passenger
anybody lives
railroad
there. So
service.
to put
Let me show
Amtrak
you
there would be a
another
waste of money.
This time of
It'd barely
high-speed
be
rail
used,
in Europe.
unless it's just
Now,
for scenic
obviously,
views.
high-speed railways aren't going to be as common as regular speed railways, as they require excellent design, strict planning, and massive investment. And yet, as we can see, high-speed rail is present in Europe, which is a stark contrast to the US, as you can see from this map. While the US does have
Let's pause
some
that.
higher speed.
Okay, so the rail systems here that we're seeing, the green, let's start with, from Vancouver down to Southern California. That covers a good chunk. That's all you really need. The yellow line from Reno, Nevada to San Francisco to San Jose to Phoenix to El Paso to San Antonio to Houston, New Orleans to Tallahassee. I mean, these are all major cities in America. It's not going to go across Utah, Wyoming, Montana, because nobody lives there. There's no major cities there. You know what I'm saying? The red line. Look at that red line. Los Angeles to Vegas to Salt Lake City to Denver to Omaha to Chicago to Cleveland to Pittsburgh up to New York City. I mean, these high-speed rail systems look fine to me. I mean, it covers every city. In the top of the country, there's no really major cities. There's Salt Lake City, as you see, that's already covered. Cheyenne, covered. Denver, covered. You know, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Minnesota, covered. I don't know. I don't really complain too much about the high-speed rail system in America. I think it's fine.
Rail, like the
But
Aquila
anyway,
line
this is
in the
about Europe.
Eastern Corridor, it's hardly an effective map.
Look at this,
of transport
Boston.
solutions.
It goes through New York
And
City,
the Aquila line
through
isn't
Philly,
really that fast
Washington,
either.
D.C.
You can reach about
I mean,
150
a
miles
lot of
per
major
hour, but averages less
American
than
cities.
70. This is
Especially
not
New York
the
City,
case
of
for
course, being the
Europe's
biggest city.
insanely well-designed railroad system. And you have to remember that Europe's system accomplishes this while spanning 33 different nations in a very diverse continent. And I know what you're probably thinking. This is just because
What I'm
Europe
seeing on the
is
map,
smaller
this
than
looks
the
like a
United
rail
States,
from the
which
UK to Ireland.
simply
That's pretty
isn't
cool.
True.
That's
While
actually
the
a thing.
European Union is smaller than the US, continental Europe has an area that is about 1.04 times as much as the US. So we can dismiss this argument that the United States can't be that well designed because it's too big. Europe simply is better designed. But if you're American, you might not understand why railroad tracks or public transport as a whole is so important. I mean, driving a car works fine, right? Well, no, and Europe showcases why a primary focus on private transportation is so detrimental to a well-functioning transit system. Look at these maps. They show the US road network versus the EU's. And as you can see, the EU's road network is not nearly as impressive as the US's. And yet, when you look at some of the
It's
most
not really
congested
complicated,
cities
though.
in the world, European countries don't feature particularly prominently in the global rankings.
Look at this list. Hold on. Look at that list. So they're comparing to America the first 2 minutes of the video, yet in the top 10 most congested cities in the world, there's no American city. So you compare to America so much, why not compare to Turkey? Why not compare to Russia? Why not compare to Ukraine? Right? The top 3 most congested cities in the world. Sure, America has some congested cities. New York City, of course, Los Angeles, Atlanta. But, I mean, not as bad as these top 10. Why not use India as an example? I don't know.
Particularly prominently in the global rankings. This is pretty shocking information because you'd assume that the country with a more expansive road network has a lot less congestion, especially considering the United States has devoted lots of
It depends
time
where you go. I
and
mean, New York
money
City,
to
I
their highways.
highly recommend you
So
do
how
not
come
drive in New
Europe
York City.
is less
Obviously,
congested when
it's
they
a
have
mess.
fewer roads? Well, it all comes down to disincentivizing the use of cars and, most importantly, making an attractive alternative. Europe does this by having both private and public transportation infrastructure, which technically the US has as well, it's just a lot worse. But on top of this,
It's not
Europe
that
makes
bad.
it pretty expensive to buy, own and use a car. This is achieved by having high taxes on vehicles and gasoline. In fact, here's a map of worldwide gasoline prices. as you can see, European nations are in the top rankings, while the US lies at the bottom, charging very little. But let me be very clear, it's only a good idea to make it expensive to drive a car if you have an attractive alternative, which America doesn't, but Europe does. I mean, obviously this wouldn't work in the US with its current transportation infrastructure, but in Europe, this is a great strategy because you make the roads less congested for those who actually need them and give everyone else an affordable and efficient alternative.
So, how do you determine who needs the road and who doesn't? What about all the cars that are on the road and America needs them? They gotta get to work.
Strategy because even though the vast majority of Americans have access to vehicles at around 91% and gas is comparatively cheap.
So you think that, cars in America just drive around just to drive around? You don't think that people are trying to get the job to work? 350 million Americans. Well, obviously not every single 350 million Americans work, but there's 350 million people in America. You think we just drive around New York City, congested New York City, just to drive around? No, we got places to be.
9% who don't have access to vehicles. What are these people who can't afford a car supposed to do? I mean, sometimes public transport isn't even an option or is simply too expensive for many. So you've now actively excluded those who aren't exactly the most well off from society. To make matters worse, some US cities actually got rid of their public transport to make room for more cars. I'm not joking. American streetcars like trams were actually removed to make way for bigger roads. Absolutely insane. Compare that to Oslo, Berlin, and Madrid, where discussions are underway.
How are you going to drive around that?
Or even
Obviously, you can't drive around
from
that.
The city center. And let's not forget that when you have cars, you also need somewhere to park them. And this is where things start to become rather ridiculous. You see, the United States has 2 billion parking spaces for 250 million cars. That's 8 parking spaces per vehicle. In Europe, it's pretty much a 1-to-1 with around 250
that sounds
million
miserable.
public parking
How's that well
spaces for
designed?
300 million cars. But to emphasize the ridiculousness of this even further, the area that the US dedicates for car parking is actually larger than the area dedicated for housing people. It's honestly unbelievable that people are being squeezed out of American cities due to regulators wanting to make more room for parking spaces. This simply wouldn't fly in the EU, as it has a whole policy dedicated to improving urban planning. See, the EU spent 115 billion euros between 2014 and 2020 to improve city design by making it smarter, greener, and more connected. Simply meaning they allocated funds to make their cities more efficient, more connected, and better for the environment. And better for the environment they really are. As the average resident in a typical Western US city, such as Los Angeles or Phoenix, contributes approximately 6 times more carbon to the atmosphere per capita
How about talk about
than an
India?
average European city resident.
I mean, why do we keep talking about America?
Of not having effective transport solutions, which saves resources and allows
This
people
guy,
to move about
I swear, a lot of you
and
Europeans
exactly
have
that.
like this hidden
Moving about
agenda,
efficiently is something most of
this
Europe's
hate
citizens
towards
are able to
America
do as a
just
result
'cause.
of the European Union. See, most of Europe's nations are in the European Union, which gives the EU citizens a number of perks, which includes a free travel area. This has been one of the most important achievements of the EU, as it makes it possible for an EU citizen to travel freely to other EU member states and stay for up to 3 months. All they need is a passport or even just an ID card. No visas, no trips to embassies, no form filing, just head straight over. This makes it incredibly easy to travel, study, and work in other countries and communities, and having this level of centralization is very important to good design, as it gives the smartest people the opportunity to work where they are most useful. And since good design obviously requires a lot of complicated problem solving and planning, this is very smart. Another smart thing is the incredible biking infrastructure we see in Europe, perfectly illustrated by this map of bike path density in Europe. All the purple lines are bike paths, and there's clearly a lot of them, especially towards the left side of the map, but that's just because this is the home of the Dutch, the Netherlands. Now, the funny thing is, I won't be able to compare this to a map of bike path density in the United States, because such a map hasn't been made. At least I wasn't able to find any, and I can only wonder why. But anyway, what Europe...
Alright, I thought you were going to be like, oh, because America doesn't have bike lanes. Every city has bike lanes. Alright, go to New York City, everyone's riding bikes. Go to any major city, everybody's riding bikes. No one's going to be riding bikes in the middle of Montana for bike lanes because you don't need to. You have to get to A to B, you have to drive because they're miles and miles apart because it's so spaced out. Alright, it's so rural.
And also the European Union has achieved is pretty remarkable, as it's hard to think of another set of such diverse countries where you would be able to travel so freely, in an efficient and inexpensive manner. I mean, you can literally get from Paris to Amsterdam, for example, in just 3 hours for around $30. Imagine being able to travel all over Asia without any border crossings, checks, or visas, and being able to stay for months at a time. That would be truly amazing. And let's not forget that European design has always been distinctive and very successful. In fact, the continent's history of design and interconnectedness serves as a model for the rest of the world. But even though Europe and the EU are pretty great and have amazing infrastructure, they obviously aren't perfect. And I'd love to hear some of the reasons it might not be, so leave a comment down below if you have some thoughts on this. But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Right, so, no hate towards Europe with this. It seems well designed. I've never been to Europe to even judge, okay? The pictures I see, a lot of the buildings are really, really nice across all of Europe. I'd love to go, especially Italy. Love to go to Rome, see all those beautiful historic buildings. Czech Republic looks cool. So many countries in Europe, just because of the buildings alone. The infrastructure looks really, really nice. And I'm sure the transportation's great. Sure. It's just funny how I watch these videos. I just always see a pattern. They always compare it to America, never compare it to India, never compare it to Russia, never compare it to Bangladesh, never compare it to African countries. It's always America, right? You saw in the top 10 cities that are most congested, not an American city there, yet they compared to America the whole time. I feel like they should just title this video "Why Europe is More Designed or Better Designed Than America," because that's really all it was, comparing to America the whole time. Am I salty? No. When I watch these videos, I'm like, there's an agenda every time. It's like, prop up Europe and then bash America for some reason. You know, America just catches strays for no reason. The public transportation system, I already made a reaction video about this a week or two ago. It's really not that bad. In the cities, everybody has bike lanes. People drive. It's not that big of a deal. There's roads for it. There's parking spots for it. I think it's just fine. Public transportation could be better, like I said, if it would be safer. I mentioned that in the past video. Listen, congrats to Europe. Well designed. Good job. I just don't know why everybody always has America on their minds when they make these types of videos. It is what it is. If you guys are offended, oh well, make sure to comment down below what you disagreed or agreed with in this video. I'm sure you're going to have complaints about me. You always do. So I'd like to hear them down below in the comments. But if you could subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm out, guys. Peace.